Good evening, thanks for joining. I'm just waiting for a few more people to file in here, at which point we'll get underway. My name's Liam, I'm the founder at Freelance Lift. I'm also the author of this book, which is Stop Thinking Like a Freelancer, The Evolution of a $1 Million Web Designer. So as I just mentioned, we'll just wait for a few more people to file in here, and then we'll get started. Today's session is going to be all about building leads, getting leads through your freelance website. If you're currently sort of locked into places like Elance, Odesk, Fiverr, and places like that, then the chances are your web presence, your central web presence, isn't really working for you. In fact, for the most part, it's probably working against you. So that's the objective of this session today. So as I mentioned, I'm just going to wait for a few more people to file in. Whilst I do that, could you please let me know in the Q&A section on the right-hand side that you can hear me? All well and good. If you can hear me, just drop a message in there. And on the right-hand side, throughout this session, you're going to see questions coming through. Ask as many as you want. I'm going to move fairly quickly within this session. We've got a lot to cover in this hour. So again, any questions that you have, drop them into the Q&A section here. I'll do my best to get through them all. Don't be afraid. I'm going to go quickly, as I say, and I've got the dulcet British voice that you might not be able to follow as quickly on this St. George's Day. So if I miss anything, if I go too quickly on any area, just let me know. I'm here for as long as you need me. We're scheduled for, thanks Paul, we're scheduled for an hour today, but if we go over, we go over. I'm committed here to helping you do a little bit better as a freelancer this year, tomorrow, yesterday, next year. And again, as I always say, I'm not some faceless, distant guru guy whose job it is to sell you stuff. My business, the business that I grew from a freelance outfit up to $1 million as it is in revenue over a 3-4 year period, is an agency that I grew from a laptop and a desk in a co-working space. So as I mentioned, I'm not some faceless, distant guru guy whose job it is to sell you stuff. I'm still in the field. I still hustle. I still sell services to clients, which is particularly not the case for a lot of people. And you'll hear the guru space banded about. Again, this isn't my day job. What I want to do is to ensure that I can help people that are in my place the first time around as a freelancer, which was to ultimately end in failure. But here we are now, able to tell my story, and I'm looking forward to the session tonight. So roll call. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Jose. Thanks, Zoe. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Jim. A couple of others in there too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Question from Joel is, all good, will it be archived? So yes, this session will be archived. You'll get a link. I'll send you an email in the next day or so with that on. It's broadcasting right now live to YouTube. Again, another thing that would separate me from the guru space, the information marketing space, as it were, is that for the most part, the webinars that are put on from these guys are not live. So ask me what day it is. I dare you, and I'll tell you. So as the numbers tick up here, I'll just, again, give you a quick introduction. So my name is Liam Veach. I'm the founder at freelancelift.com, where we help freelancers really break through that earning ceiling. In my opinion, there's lots of well-meaning, but sometimes wider than market information in the freelancer blog sphere. What I'm trying to do is to say, well, look, you probably know everything there is to know about earning more, making freelancing more stable. The problem is you've got too many ideas and they're all here, there, and everywhere. You've got to-do lists as long as you are. What you need is a little bit of focus and drive to get some of this stuff done. So we're getting to a good point now on the numbers here as a couple more people drop in. Jane is saying, I can't hear you, volume on the computer is on. Do I need to do anything else for the site? You should be able to hear. Oh, I can't hear or see anything. Man. I can hear you, Zoe. Hearing you fine. Can't hear anything. All good now. Yeah, it's like Jim updating. Yeah. Logged out, logged back in. That worked. Brilliant. All right, so let's get moving then. So today's session is all about getting more leads from your web presence. If you're tied to places like Elance, Fiverr, Odesk, Guru.com, there are so many of them. If you're tied to those channels for getting new leads, and the chances are you're in a position where your website, your central web presence, if you even have one, isn't working in your favor. In fact, in some cases, it's probably doing you a disservice. It's probably making clients either not do business with you or not giving them the feel-good factor that they need. So in this section, we're going to have a look at how what I refer to as top bracket freelancers are doing it, and how you can sort of pull some of those ideas to make it so that it works for you. So that's the session for today. It's going to be about an hour in length, as I mentioned, and within that we're going to have some Q&A as well of the sites. If you've added your site into the survey which I sent around prior to this session, then you've got the chance of me reviewing your site. So let's get started. So firstly, I wanted to let you know really what it takes to make this a better year for you as a freelancer. So obviously, what we're talking about when we're talking about all this stuff, and your website is no different, we're talking about making real change in your business, making forward motion, making things more stable, making things better for you as a freelancer. So there are some real key things that you need to be aware of, things that will make businesses drive forward. So I've listed them out here. You've got accountability, so tough love and a sounding board for a mentor or peers, someone who's been there, done that, or written the book in my case. Direction, support and guidance from someone who's been there, as I mentioned. Accountability as well just really helps, and that tunnel vision, so just guided periods of focus to get it done. And that is what it takes to get shit done. Apologies for the swearage here. There's not going to be a lot of it, but yeah, you're forewarned. And that's in a nutshell, really. Accountability, direction, motivation, and focus. And that's what we're going to focus on. Everything that I teach at Freelance Lift and Freelance Lift Pro, which gives you lots of access to lots more stuff other than the things that we're going to talk about here, courses, books, and things like that, all runs with that sort of motivation. That's what drives me. That's what I think drives businesses forward. And there's lots of people inside Freelance Lift Pro that really go to that. And again, areas to focus your energy, things that you need to be mindful of. First one, narrow your pool of clients, increase the likelihood of making the sale. So bear in mind, we're just at an intro level right here, just laying out the blueprint, really, the things that you need to be aware of. Second one, rework your website to generate leads. That's what we're going to talk about today. So again, you can't really rework your site unless you know who it is that's going to be visiting the site and what things they care about. So when we're looking at being the specialist, when we're looking at creating a category of one without really going too deep on the whole niche thing, which again is something that is more prominent in the sort of guru information space, as it were, niche down and things like words like this, which don't really mean anything. What we're really talking about is narrow the pool of clients or potential pool of clients to increase your likelihood of making a sale. So again, I'm just going to run through 5 areas here, 5 things that you should really pay attention to. The second one is what we're going to dig deep on today. But again, if you want to push forward, then these are the things that you need to be looking at, need to be investing your energy in, finding a little bit more out about these kind of things. So third one, to go and attract some attention. So once you know who is going to visit your site, and once you've repositioned your site so that it attracts that person, so it matches their worldview, so it speaks in a language that they can understand, then you want to go out there and attract some attention to it. And again, I'm putting it in a specific order here because, as I mentioned in the intro, it's my belief that you have the knowledge, you know what it's going to take to get some of this stuff done. It's just those 3 areas. It's that accountability, it's that direction, somebody saying do this, do that, and then the following bit there is just having that tunnel vision, really, that focus, guided periods of focus to get it done. So again, with all this stuff and with everything that I teach, I believe that you know everything that there is to know about it. It's just that there are lots of voices vying for your attention, and ultimately time is a valued commodity that doesn't really come around too often. So that's the third one, attract some attention and drive some interest. Fourth one, then you're going to start to make your client really desire what it is that you're offering before you send the proposal. If you're getting lots of clients that kind of say, yes, I'm interested, but then go silent, it's because you've not built enough desire prior to sending that proposal. So they'll just jump straight to the bottom to the pricing section. And again, don't worry too much if I'm going a little bit quick here, because these are some key areas. But again, to be clear, today we're going to focus on this one. Fifth one is to deliver a proposal which makes the sale a formality. So again, narrow your pool of customers so that you know who that audience is going to be. Rework your site so that it attracts that dream client, as it were, that good apple, and repels at the same time the bad apples, attract some attention to it, and drive some interest in you and what you're doing. Then you want to make the client really desire what it is you're offering before you deliver your proposal. Then you're delivering a proposal which is killer. It makes the sale a formality. Again, this is the kind of thing that I'm teaching in Freelance Lift Pro. We've got a course on each one of these 5 areas. And again, this isn't my sort of purpose here to try and pitch you on Freelance Lift Pro. I do believe it would be a great thing for you, but it's not my purpose in this session. What we're looking at in this session is this bit: reworking your site so that it generates leads. So where does that start? Here are 5 things that top bracket freelancers do. You'll want to write these down, because these are really the differentiating factors between websites that perform well and sell services well, and websites that really don't, that fail to have that impact, really. So again, if you look at your Google Analytics and you see, hey, there's been like 10, 20, 100 people on my site today, and I haven't heard anything. It's been a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of silence. Then you're perhaps not doing some of the things that we're talking about here. And again, you'll see some cardinal sins as we go through this that will maybe make you feel a little bit differently about the way that your site is currently performing. That's what I want to show you here. As I said, there are those 3 areas. You want to get that accountability, somebody who's going to give you that sort of slap on the back or the kick up the bum when you need it. You want to also get that direction. Somebody will say, well, do this bit first and then go on to that and that. And then you want that guided periods of focus, that tunnel vision, really. So here are 5 things that top bracket freelancers do when it comes to building out their website, as I take a sip of water. The first one then is they make an effort not to target the internet. So you'll hear this a lot, and I've spoken to one-to-one with 400-500 freelancers. Over 12,000 people at last count had downloaded this book. You're probably one of them. You might be one of them. So what I hear a lot is when I ask them the simple question, so who is your customer? One of the most common things I hear back is, well, anybody with money, anybody who likes this kind of style of stuff, businesses, really vague things that are just targeting everyone, or as I mentioned there, the internet. It's targeting everybody that would want to buy that service. It's kind of like the waiter, you'll serve anybody with money, which is a terrible way, really, when you think about it, to focus in on a particular client. If you're targeting everybody, then you're really only targeting nobody. You can't reposition the words that you're on your website because you don't really know. You're hedging your bets onto too many areas about who's going to read it. So it's really important to build a website that focuses on either a specialism, so a market or a sort of sector, as it were, or focusing on a tier of client. Again, this is really important, as we'll go into a couple of examples here. I can't go too deep within this hour, but I'm going to give you the real bones of it, really. So they make an effort not to target the internet. Second one is they exist outside of their own web presence. So have a think about the A-list freelancers in your space. If you're a designer, think about the A-list designers that are out there. If you're a writer, think about the A-list bloggers that are out there. If you're a developer, think about the speakers that go to coding events, the people that are active in the open source community. What are they doing? They're existing outside of their own web presence. So while we're talking here, obviously, about the things that top bracket freelancers do as it relates to their web presence, what you've got to understand is that they make an effort to exist outside of that. And I'm not talking about being visible on Elance, Odesk, and Fiverr. And again, just as a quick side note here, I'm not bashing these platforms. I just think you can do better. I think there are things that you can put in place which will make you more stable as a business. That was one of the defining factors, I think, for me, failing the first time around, being part of that herd. There are literally over 1 million freelancers on places like Elance. And when you see a job with 60, 70 proposals in there, can you blame the client for going for the cheapest? Can you blame the client for making mistakes when it comes to making the decision? And I think we're back. So apologies, guys. I don't know what happened then. I've still got some viewers, so thanks for sticking with it. Really, I've no idea what happened then. I think I just got the spinning wheel of death all over screens, and then we all crashed off. So Google Plus is telling me I'm still live. Let's have a quick look. If you can still hear me and see me now, or you can hear me and see me now, please let me know that you can see me. Cuts off. Perfect. Oh, damn. All right. So I'll extend the length of the session here. Let me see. So hopefully you can still see me now. So I'm gonna press on regardless, because don't want a small thing like the interwebs to get in the way of some real hardcore learning. So I'm going to jump straight back into it. Hopefully you can still see me again. Just as I go, just drop in a question here to let me know that you can see me still. And for now, I'm going to jump straight back into it and share my screen. So where we got to was the 5 things that top bracket freelancers do as it relates to their website, as it relates to doing things online. So so yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just still quickly checking. All right, well, I'll keep going anyway. So 5 things that top bracket freelancers do. They make an effort not to target everybody, not to target just the internet, as I mentioned. They exist outside of their own web presence. And then the third one is that they understand, now you can, good. The third one is that they understand that words are the common denominator. So when we're talking about design and design vehicles, ultimately those are secondary. The things that people will resonate with, things that people will engage with on a website are the words, which is why people put a lot of emphasis on things like headlines, on things like body copy and stuff like that. You've got to have some sort of connection with somebody. The only way that you can connect with somebody is through words. And again, words being that common denominator, it's really important. And top bracket freelancers really understand this, as I'll go on to in a little bit later. So number 4 is that top bracket freelancers know that great design, which is great design practice, as we'll go on to in a short while, renders design vehicles secondary. So when it comes to logos, when it comes to slider images, when it comes to colors, when it comes to fonts, those ultimately are design vehicles. And again, we're talking about logos in particular. If your job or the job of your website is to push somebody closer to making some sort of inquiry with you and to make them feel that they're in the right place, then the design vehicles, unless they specifically help that purpose, don't really matter, as we'll go on to. So top bracket freelancers really understand that. They understand that great design, when we're talking about great design, as we'll go on to a little bit later, we're talking about good design practice, renders design vehicles, logos, colors, things like that as secondary. And then the 5th one then is top bracket freelancers really understand that their site is a vehicle for starting a relationship. It's not a vehicle for starting, finishing the relationship as well. So what you've got to understand is that the job of your site is to get somebody from knowing who you are to really engaged and really wanting to start a relationship. The job of your website isn't to take them from cold visitor to warm prospect. So when you understand that and you put things in place that are going to help people engage with the site and to give you some information of theirs, so an email address or whatever, you can start to build that relationship thereafter. So you'll see this quite a lot, attention-grabbing pieces of content, things that attract people, as you've hopefully done for this session, to give you something, to give you their email address. So top bracket freelancers understand that their site is a vehicle for starting a relationship. What you'll see all too often are big, lengthy forms that almost get the prospect to fill in every last detail about their project prior to even getting to that stage. So when you're a top bracket freelancer, you understand that your site is just for starting a relationship. You'll make it as frictionless as possible. You'll be asking for a first name and an email address, if that. Maybe just an email address. You'll want to start the relationship because you'll have confidence, as I mentioned in one of those 5 areas, to be able to build desire after that point. So bear that in mind. Let's move on to the next stage here. And again, please let me know in the Q&As that you can hear me and still see me, because I've not had any further Not had any further emails, sorry, any Q&As to let me know that you can see me. Yeah, you're back. Perfect. I think that means that I'm back in the game. So that's good. There's nothing like live video streaming, is there? So let's move on from that shaky start. So what I really want to help drill home here is that you just don't want to blend in. We have mentioned really several times already that one of the things that you need to be thinking about in the first instance, one of those 5 key areas is being the specialist, is narrowing down your potential pool of customers. It's a fallacy really to think, okay, well, I can do business with any business. Anybody that wants to pay me X amount, I'm going to build a website for, I'm going to do content for, I'm going to be a designer, developer for, whatever. So thinking like that is, again, I call it the exchange mindset. It's the thinking of, okay, well, the more people that are out there, the more people that want my service, the better. But actually what happens is there's more competition, more people competing for that one client. So what if you could narrow down your potential pool of customers so that there was only a few hundred, yet there was only 4 or 5 people that were competing for that business? If you did that, and if you did some of the things that we're talking about on this session with your website, as I'll go on to, and put yourself at the forefront of those 4 or 5 people, then what does it do? It enhances your likelihood of winning the gig. So if I could leave you with anything from this session, and there'll be a few things where I'll say if I can leave you with anything from this session, but this is one of them. Just don't blend in. So again, do you specialize in building websites like everybody else, or do you design things which provide bottom line impact, just as an example? So this one I think you'll like. So we specialize in building websites. If I had a hands up thing, I would say hands up how many people have got words to that effect on their websites if they are indeed a web designer. Well, guess what? 891,000 pages on the Google index also say those exact words. Have a think about that for a second. 891,000 people say, or 1,000 pages to be fair, but even if you half that number, there's probably 400,000 websites that say the exact same words. We specialize in building websites. So if you're saying words like that, then guess what? The client will feel a sense of so what about what you're saying. So as we'll go on to in a short while, there are ways to capture a client's attention with strong content, words being that common denominator, that will ensure that you don't blend in. We're not necessarily talking about an overhaul here from a design point of view, as we'll go on to again. We're talking about putting in place key things, 10 key things indeed, that will ensure that you don't blend in. So that's the first one. We specialize in building websites. 891,000 people say that. So if I could leave you with anything from this session, it would be have a look at the copy that's on your site. If you could go to, again, bear in mind that the client has visited probably 10 freelancer sites before yours and will probably visit another 20 after. So are you going to be the one like the other 19 that say we specialize in building websites, or are you going to say something a little bit different? If you're in the content writing space, Content Writing Expert has 635,000 items, pages in the Google index. Think about that. Content Writing Expert. If your site says words to the effect of I am a content writing expert based in insert town here, which I see so often, then there are lots of other people competing for that. And I'm not even talking about from a Google competition here, not talking about sort of SEO or anything like that. We're talking just about how different you are. Try to explain, or if you could have tried to explain to somebody what an iPhone was, that it was a camera, a calculator, a platform to send mail, and all these different things in one small tiny device. Even try and explain that to somebody sort of 15 years ago, they would be amazed. But after a period of time, it becomes normal. So what happens is when you use words like that in the client's eyes, you just blend in. You're just another iPhone walking around. So why don't you do something about it? Why don't you be the iWatch, I've not got one of those yet, but I'm not too sure about them. Let us know in the Q&A if you've got one. I'm interested to know. So yeah, source 1, Google. Source 2 is common sense. It's common sense to not blend in, but I see it so often that it bears repeating. Just don't blend in. So does design matter? if you know anything about me, you'll know that I'm a designer by trade. I now head up a design agency, which was the agency that I talk about in this book, Stop Thinking Like a Freelancer, which is called The Evolution of a $1 Million Web Designer. The business that I grew from freelance roots, from a laptop and a shared co-working space, to a fully functional business, living, breathing business, which is now classified as an agency. We're a web design development agency. You can look us up at tone.co.uk. And that's the business I've been in for 4 years. I'm still in the field, as I mentioned. So I'm qualified to answer this question. Does design matter? I'm a designer by trade. I hire designers. I critique the work of designers on a regular basis. So I'm qualified to answer the question, does design matter? And my answer is, well, that depends. So let me explain. When we're talking about that design, we're talking about good design practice. So when we're talking about good design practice, that means it's just essential. And as I've said there, good design practice is different from good design. Good design practice, we're talking about the way that your page is laid out. We're talking about the flow from page to page. We're talking about the structure. We're talking about the spacing between items. It's good design practice. It's good use of technology. It's responsive. It's all of these things that are going to help people resonate with the site. Remember, the job of your site's design is to portray your proposition clearly, efficiently, and quickly. I'll repeat that. The job of your site's design is to portray your proposition clearly, efficiently, and quickly. So when you put it like that, when you put it in that sort of context, it should portray your messaging, should portray your proposition quickly and efficiently. Does it then matter if you've got a red button or a green button? Does it really matter if you've got red headlines or black headlines? If it does, if it matters to that, to putting your proposition across clearly, efficiently, then design does matter in that respect. But what we're talking about really is good design practice. Good design practice out of the box has all these things baked in. It has the element of where should I go next? A good example is a call to action button. On your form, does your call to action button say submit? If so, that's bad design practice. Things like that. What you want to do is tell people what the next steps are. If you have a button which says get your book after this, or it says I'll contact you back here, then that's good design practice. It's telling people what should come next. Now, the good news is you've got a little bit of help when it comes to that, as we'll go on to here. Because ultimately, there's just no excuse for poor design practice. So what do I mean by that? Well, we're talking about places like dunked.com, talking about places like squarespace.com, ThemeForest, where you can just get a world-class top bracket web design, good design practice out of the box. So if in doubt, simplify. In the examples that I'm going to give for some top bracket freelancers and the way they're doing it, you'll see that sometimes, provided that your proposition is explained quickly and clearly and efficiently, and again, I'm speaking slower, not in a condescending way, but just so that this hopefully sinks in, that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that your sort of image is a big skyscraper in Toronto. It doesn't really matter if that's portraying your image well. If it's not portraying your image well, if it's not helping the prospect, the visitor, make sense of your web page, then it's bad. It's bad design practice. So we'll go on to a couple more detailed designs shortly, but just bear in mind that there is no excuse really. You can go to somewhere like Don't, go to somewhere like Squarespace, go to somewhere like ThemeForest, and again, have access to top bracket good design practice. And if in doubt, just simplify. All right, so here's where we get a little bit technical. Whilst we do that, I'm gonna quickly see if there are any questions at this point. Let me see. So let me see if there are any questions at this point. So fresh, a couple of times already. So quick roll call as well while here. Hi Jose. Hi Rebecca. Hi Jim. Hi Joel. Hi Paul. Hi Jose. Hi Zoe. Hi Mukesh. Hi Jim. Hi Paul. Hi Jane. Hi Zoe again. Mukesh. Joel. John, Ian, lots more people in there. So again, if you've got any questions, drop them in there. There's no questions at this point, so I'll move straight on. Because now we're going to get to some of the more scientific bits, some of the things that you probably don't know about, and hopefully this will resonate with you. So Leah Kalamakis, who's a great web designer. I would consider as a top bracket web designer. So we're going to have a look at this from initially the design. So the design is okay. But when I do this, what happens? This is what's called the F rule. So there are lots of studies in and around how people's eyes hit a web page. For the most part, they'll run in an F shape like this. It doesn't look too exciting when you see it like this, but good designers and good freelancers that get their websites built understand this. So when I do this, then you'll see it becomes a little clearer. So you've got a big clear headline here. You're a pro, ready to look it. Designing code for brilliant entrepreneurs. So she's focusing in there on entrepreneurs who want to look like a pro, you know, code for entrepreneurs who want to look like a pro. It's not saying I do web design for all businesses or I specialize in building websites. It's got something interesting. This will differentiate her from others. But what we're talking about really here is the F rule. The way that eyes will cast upon a website. So as you can see, there's an F shape here where people's eyes will fall. You've got a trust indicator here with Leah just sat on some steps. And then you've got the headline here. You're a pro, ready to look like it, ready to look it. A digital design and code. So again, a nice subheading here. So all that falls within that F shape area. And there's been lots of studies done on this. And it's fascinating really to think about this. So look at your own website. Do you have key information, the things that people need to know about quickly? Bear in mind that the job of your site is to portray your proposition quickly and efficiently. So does it match the F test? Paul Jarvis. Again, when you place an F over, isn't really too fascinating at that point. But then when you place the shaded area over it, again, we've got the clear title here. So I'm Paul Jarvis. I create simple, meaningful things like best-selling books, courses, and websites for creative people like you. So when he's selling services, he's selling his websites, but he's selling them for creative people. Creative entrepreneurs is his audience. Remember, we were talking before about narrowing your potential pool of customers to increase the likelihood of making the sale. So what Paul does, he makes himself visible, again, as I mentioned, outside of his own web presence. And he does so understanding the F rule. He's got key information in those key places. So you got the headline in there, you got a little bit of Paul's face there, again, a trust signal, and then a little bit of content in here as well. So it's really interesting to think about that and have a think about how your site fares against this. Copy hackers again, Joanna Wieber there. I think I pronounced her name very wrong, but there we go. Does this same thing well, has key information, trust signals here with the guys' faces, and the clear headline. So we promise to help you write more persuasive, believable, and usable copy without the pixie dust, so you can boost your website and email conversion rates. So can you see just in this example that yes, the main headline is in the right area for that F shape, but look at it, we're not talking here about we write copy. In fact, I don't even think it says that anywhere within it. So we're not a content writing expert here. We create persuasive, believable, usable copy. So 3 adjectives. And why? So boost website and email conversion rate. So bear that in mind. And again, we'll talk about some more little detail here about causes to have a clear headline. So again, the point of this is to talk about things that your site must do, but without needing a rebuild entirely. So we're talking about visual training here. So these are 10 things. So this is part of the book, Getting More Out of Your Website, which is available inside of Freelance Lift Pro. And again, if you've got any questions about Freelance Lift Pro, it's not necessarily why I'm here tonight, but I'm going to chat a little bit about Freelance Lift Pro as you want to. So if you've got some questions on that, then drop them in the Q&A for sure, and I'll get to them. But here's a rough guide that I gave during that course and in that book about where you should place some of this stuff. But let's jump into what it actually is first. So 10 things that your site must do. So the first one is it must fit the worldview of your dream client. Now, again, I can't stress the importance of this enough. So your dream client, the person that you've specified when you're looking at narrowing down your potential pool of customers, what do they care about? What pains are they having on a regular basis? What language do they use to describe the things that they're struggling with? If they are really technical, if you're a developer doing stuff for developers, then you can talk in quite technical lingo. If you're a content writer or a marketer dealing with, I suppose, members of the public, then you've got to tone that down a little bit. You've got to focus more on the benefits. On one call on one of the podcasts, and you can just look at freelancelift.com/podcast with D. Non-Tenants, who's an expert copywriter, highly recommend his stuff. He talks about giving them a name. He calls them Sam. Imagine you sat across the table from Sam, this dream client. What would you say to them in person that you're not saying on your website? And this is where it becomes, the penny begins to drop, I think. When we're talking about having a headline which says, we specialize in building websites, would you sit across from a dream client and say, hey, we specialize in building websites. We build websites in HTML5, CSS3 that are W3C compliant. Would you say that? Or would you say, we've built websites for people like you, generally results in an uplift in conversions because we're doing things with good design practice in mind. You talk to them more in a language that they can understand. So when we're talking about 10 things that your site must do, that is the first one. Figuring out what the worldview is, what are they coming to you, what knowledge they have when they come to your door. That client, that narrower pool of clients, what do they care about? What things are they looking for on a regular basis? And how can you say that to them in a language that they can understand? I'm not talking about linguistics here. We're talking about terminology that you're using. For the most part, you want to drop the buzzwords. You want to drop the jargon. You want to talk to people in a language that they can understand. Now, an interesting one here, and the reason I picked this one is this is Caleb Wojcik, his site. You might know him from Fizzle days, but he offers filming services. He's a videographer. Now, what he's saying here is most talking head videos suck. Yours don't have to. So the objective when we're talking about fitting the worldview of your dream client is twofold, because not only should it fit the worldview of your dream client, it should also repel the bad apple clients. So when we're looking at Caleb's here, his audience, so the people that he's trying to work with, already know what talking head videos are. If he was dealing with business, general public, or an older generation who wouldn't have a clue what talking head videos were, might recognize them as a band from the 80s, then you're not going to be pitching it right. So you've got to figure out who it is that's going to be reading your site, and put together copy that fits their worldview, put together a site that fits their worldview. Second one, it should follow design best practice. Again, it should portray your message clearly and efficiently. If your site isn't doing that, then chances are it's not converting for that reason. And again, what we're talking about here is building a site which generates you more leads. These are all things that you must do to be able to get to that point. So again, if in doubt, simplify. So we've got Roger's site here. There's pretty much nothing on there, So I've seen in my time lots and lots of freelancer websites, hundreds, probably even up to 1,000, and we overthink them. I'm coming from freelance roots, and I get it. I understand that you want to put this thing on, and you want to put that thing on, and you want to put that thing on, and that thing on. But again, when you look at it, and one of the key things that liberated me from that thinking actually was looking at how people went through the site. So looking at, there's things like Crazy Egg, Mouse Flow, things that will show you how people interact with your website. And it's heartbreaking sometimes as a designer when people don't go further than, 2,000 pixels down the page, yet you've got all this good stuff down here when they don't go to this page when you spent so much time on that page. So if in doubt, simplify. Remember, the job of your site is to start that relationship. It's not to finish it. It's not to give them everything that you need to give them. It's to start that relationship. So do what you can, portray your message as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, and get them to a point of saying, okay, I like it, I'm interested. Now give me something that's going to make me give you my email address, as we'll go on to here as well. So yeah, so good design practice is essential. It can be simple, so as we've got here with Roger's site. So third one is it must leverage effective headlines. Again, I've seen so many websites that have we specialize in building websites across the top of it. It's just too common. I like this one, which is Studio Fellow, which is Jared Drysdale's site. Again, top bracket freelancer. Again, somebody that's really making waves. And again, all these examples of people that are commanding $10,000 plus per project. So the web is full of sites like yours. How will anyone know your business is different? Which I think is a great headline. The web is full of sites like yours. How will anybody know your business is different? And again, that's speaking in a worldview, in a language that they can understand, and it's putting it in a large, interesting, engaging headline. So it's an effective headline that really, really tells that story. Fourth one then is it must tell that person that's going to be looking at it why they're in this situation. And this is, again, crucial, really. So few people do this. So many people talk about things in a quite vague manner simply because they don't have a clear enough idea of who that narrow pool of customers is or are. So they speak in a language that they can kind of understand and they've seen on several other freelance websites, but they don't say, hey, look, I get it. I know where you're coming from. It's kind of like an example would be going into a doctor where you say, doc, I've got a problem in my left shoulder here. If he was to say, did that start in your right foot and then kind of work its way up your right leg and then across and then up to your left shoulder? You'd say, well, yeah, how do you know that? That's amazing. And whatever they said next, whatever they prescribed next, you would be all ears, simply because you've told them why they're in this situation. So if you can translate that to a freelancer website, then tell them what are the common experiences that your clients have had up to this point and how do they get to that point. If you can tell them better than they can why they've got to this point, then you're in a really strong position from an authority point of view. So what you want to do is think about that. How can you explain to a person that's visiting your site why they're in this situation within your copy, within that area of content, front and center, really. A good example, again, is Information Highwayman, which is the non-tenant who bills between $300 and $400 an hour for his work. So I've highlighted a bit here, which is if you're like most small business owners, you didn't hire a copywriter to write your web content. Maybe you're starting to realize that was a mistake, which is brilliant for me. That's kind of walking them through where they are right now. It's saying to them, look, I understand you, I understand your business, I'm speaking in a language and a worldview that you can understand. Now, whatever they say next, you're going to listen to, which beats, lots of other vague headlines that you'll see that around and about. Fifth one then is you must show them your passion and experience. When people come to your site, they're expecting normal, so why don't you show them exceptional? This is something that very few people do. So few people do indeed that the example that I'm going to show here, which as I do it, this is a design duo initially that are called Tihan and Lax. Now, what you're seeing scrolling through here is a case study. Not every case study that they've ever done, not their full website kind of gelled together, one page. And it's going to keep going here. It just keeps running and running and running. Now, this is them talking about a project from start to finish, and it's an amazing amount of detail. They're showing their passion and experience. So they've had experience in an area that, the potential customer that's reading this would understand, but they're showing that they have passion for it by going so deep on their case study. They could have just left it at that. They could have done what most web designers do and had maybe a paragraph of content, a couple of images about the project, but they didn't. They made an effort to highlight their passion and experience, so much so that this site was so widely regarded, and this agency, as it grew to, small agency, boutique agency, was so well regarded that they were actually bought out recently by Facebook. Facebook purchased them to get the team because they knew that they had so much passion and experience. Now, I'm not expecting you to be bought out or acquired by Facebook. What I'm getting at is if you don't show your experience, then on your passion, either in content, in case studies, in some of this attention-getting content, and somebody else will. And somebody else is going to get that lead. So we're talking about blogging. Yes. We're talking about doing videos, things like this. Yes. We're talking about things that narrower pool of customers will understand. And that's what we were talking about earlier on. One of those 5 areas, one of those 5 key areas that you should focus on is going out there and attracting attention. And you attract attention by doing things like this. I'll not let it run again. But yeah, so that's really, really important. Now, as time's ticking on, we'll move on a little bit more quickly here. But number 6 is that your site should explain the solution clearly. So yes, you've talked about how they've got it to this point. Yes, you've introduced it with a a great headline which matches their worldview, but now let's explain it a little bit more clearly. Explain the solution quickly and get them to the point of saying, okay, I'm interested. Now what? Maximize value then. What somebody is expecting from visiting your site is to see the site, see the same old tired large screen slider images, perhaps see the same old tired headlines, perhaps see the same old jargon-full content. They're not expecting too much more from that. Hopefully you'll have a good portfolio, a good set of case studies, but that's about it. So why not maximize the value of their visit by giving them some other stuff? What we're talking about here is building relationships ultimately. So why not make an effort to maximize the value of that visit when they come to your site and they expect to just see same old large screen image, vague headline, jargonistic content, maybe in an unclear order. Then why don't you maximize that and say, well, have your content here, have the headline which gives them something out of the box, then give them that content, tell them why they're in that position, and then start to talk to them again in passion and experience, but then start to maximize the value of that visit by giving them something. Maybe it's an ebook, maybe it's a little video, maybe it's some free sample of what you do. Maximize the value of their visit so that when they leave, they say, well, that was an interesting experience. That was different. As I said, they've been to probably 10 or 15 freelancer sites before yours and probably 20, 30 afterwards, So make an impression. And you do that, one of the ways you can do that, as well as doing the the passion and experience thing. Don't recommend that you do a 30,000 pixel long case study like Tihan and Lax do, but it's that kind of thing, giving them some extra motivation to return to you. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about building leads. We're talking about building a strong reputation, standing out from the crowd. As I mentioned earlier, just don't blend in. So one of the things that you can do there, as I say, is to maximize the value of that visit. Point to a victory then. So everybody, when they're looking to hire a freelancer, has a problem to solve. One of the things I struggle to try and help people to do is to move away from that idea that somebody is coming to buy web design, coming to buy whatever your service is. They're not hiring you because you can design, write, market, code. They're hiring you because they have a business problem. Your services, so they believe, is the solution to that problem. So you got to tell them what the solution is, as I mentioned in number 6, but then point to a victory point. What happens when it's all over? What happens when they win? What happens when they stand atop that mountain shouting, this was great, I loved it? Walk them through that. A lot of that is all about framing and not all about pacing. Tell them what the victory point is. What is the upside? How can you explain that to them in a language that they can understand? Going back to the example, talking across the desk from somebody like Sam, point to a victory. Tell them how their life is going to be better. And again, for some of us, maybe you're an administrator, it's more difficult, but you can put it out there. Again, when you're talking to a client, a good tip really is to say, well, what are you looking to get out of this? And they might say, well, more money. And you'll say, why? Or so that. It's kind of the so that game. You say, well, I want more money, so that. And they say, well, so that I have a little bit more profit, so that I don't have to work as much, and perhaps I can spend more time with my family, so that I can be happier, I can have a happier lifestyle. So whatever goal, whatever objective a client has, like a surface objective, there's always an underlying one. That's the victory point. If you can get to the root of that and to inspire someone to say, I need this, then you've done a good job from your website. But again, remember, your website is a tool for starting that relationship. When we spoke about those 5 areas, so narrowing your customer, building a website that really attracts them and really converts them into something, something of interest to you, that really tells your story well. The third one is to go out there and grab attention. There's no point sending lots of people back to your site when it isn't in a good enough state to do so. So the first stage, narrow down your pool of customers so that you know who it is. Second stage, build a website that really matches their worldview with all these 10 things intact. Third one is to go out there and grab attention from wherever that narrow pool of customers exists online. Push them back to your website again, convert them by maximizing the value of their visit, get an email address from them. Fourth one was to build desire. So start to walk them through, as these are all courses within Freelance Lift Pro. So I'll start to walk them through that desire building process to a point then when you need to deliver a proposal. So the fifth one is to deliver a killer proposal, which makes the likelihood of the sale much greater. So let's move on to the final couple here. 9 should have a clear call to action. So remember, submit is not enough. Tell me what's going to happen. One of the more common things I see are humongous forms that have ultimately no real benefit to the user. They don't know whether they're going to get a reply today, tomorrow, or in 2 weeks' time. If it is just a form and you don't have your email address on there, then they don't know whether the form is even going to get to you. They're not really clear on what's happening next. So you want to be sort of deliberate really about the way that you put that forward. Have a clear call to action. I'm calling you to do this, and here is what I will do in return, is something that's missing. If you think about it in those terms, I'm calling you to do this, and here is what I'm going to give you in return. Put it like that whenever you see a form, and you won't go far wrong. So when you look at your form maybe, or a form of another couple of people in your space, and there are 10 or 15 forms, 10 or 15 field inputs with submit at the bottom, doesn't really float the boat, doesn't really have a clear call to action, doesn't really help you generate more leads. So it needs to have a really clear call to action. Number 10, it must pass a user test, or it should pass a user test. There are things like Peek, which is peek.usertesting.com, where you can, for free, go there and get people to review your site. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I think it's kind of neat. Normally it's like $49, so you might get an upsell, but point is you can give them your URL, they'll get people to your site and will just review it. They'll say, well, what does this site stand for, and so on. There's another one, 5secondtest.com. You put your website on there, or a screenshot of your website, and ask somebody a question. So you'll say, what is my service? And you'll be able to tell within 5 seconds whether it works and whether it gives people that initial first impression. Remember the F shape. Put your key information in that area, in those areas, and you won't go far wrong. So the number 10 there is that it should pass a user test. Things like 5secondtest are free. Peek.usertesting.com is free. So all of these places you can go to get user tests to see what really people think. And again, think places like Mousefloor, Crazy Egg, those types of places. And again, if you've not heard any of these, want me to repeat any of these places, let me know in the Q&A, and I shall do. So yes, must pass a user test, and you'll be really clear then on what what's going to happen next. And this is where it all plays out. So all of these 10 items have a distinct order, an order that you should put them in. And building a site like this, and building a site which has some of this methodology in hand, is really key, really, to helping you deliver more leads from your website, which is really where we wanted to get to. So at this point, we're going to have a quick look at a couple of attendee websites. So I've got around about 100 that came through. So before I get to that, just let me know if you've got any questions of anything that we've covered so far, and if not, I'll jump straight in. So let me take a look. So there's a question here from Paul. Are you saying Dunked, etc. are well designed, good design resources, or not very good? No, those are good. Those are the places that if you are procrastinating about building a website, and you may not have the requisite skills to build a website, or if you are a website designer and your site at the moment is so far away that you feel it's going to take me months to get there, then I would recommend just going to somewhere like Squarespace, recommend going to somewhere like Dunked.com, recommend going to somewhere like ThemeForest. The key thing really is getting the site up there quickly and doing so in a way that has good design practice baked in. People like Dunked.com, which is headed up by a guy called Orman Clark, who's a great guy, friend of Freelance Lift. He's a great designer by trade. So everything that they do from a themes point of view is brilliant. So yeah, they're good, So Squarespace is good as well, although sometimes you can kind of fall off the track a little bit if you customize it a little bit too much. But yeah, what I was getting at there was there is no excuse for bad design practice when there are good things like that around, and limited in cost or indeed free. Let me see if there are any others, and then if not, I'll jump straight into the attendee reviews. Okay, so we've got a lot of in that case, please display them. So yeah, dunked.com, themeforest.net, and then you've also got squarespace.com. Those are 3 places that will give you access to good design practice at sort of minimal cost. So I definitely recommend checking those out. Okay, there's another one here. Callaway Green. Do you think a website should have one of those massive image-based banners at the top? How do you differentiate from the other creative sites? Yeah, so one of the things I talked about earlier on was that the job of your website's design is to put across your image, so put across your message efficiently and quickly. Now, most of the time, a large image with a completely vague background, like you'll see skylines and things that are just irrelevant, do a bad job of that. They make it less likely that people will figure out quickly, which is why I talk about the test, the user test. They'll do a bad job of portraying what you're trying to put forward, your proposition, quickly and efficiently. It'll just confuse people more than anything. So a large design slider in some cases works if, for example, you're showcasing your work. If people can say, okay, well, that's a website, and to the left of it, it says, our web presences will increase bottom line impact or whatever, or like the copy hackers example, where we'll create readable, usable copy, and that was next to, I don't know, like a notepad or something, then that would kind of work. But it's got to be relevant to the messaging that's around it. It's got to portray your message, your proposition quickly, which again is why I recommend things like 5-second tests, because they will tell you quickly whether people are figuring out what it is that you're trying to do. As I say, the one I see most common is large screen sort of slider image, which is some skyline of somewhere, Tokyo skyline, for example, with a big vague headline in the middle. Does that help? Does that put your message across? Does that put your proposition across quickly? Does it differentiate you from that herd? Remember, a prospective client will go through 15 other sites before they hit yours, and another 20 afterwards. So does it support that, or does it go against that? If it goes against that, which 8 times out of 10 it does, then it doesn't need to be there. And in fact, as I've mentioned, if in doubt, simplify. But good question. So again, I think this is one from Jose, which is pretty much a similar question. So I'll just kind of skip over that. Is an image banner more important, or is it the text included within it? 100% the text included within it. So one of the things I said earlier was that top bracket freelancers understand that words are the common denominator. They understand that, again, going back to the example of talking across the desk from somebody, would you immediately give them a flick book of Tokyo skylines? Or would you say to them, we've done this, this is what we do, this is how we do it? Would you give them images? Again, you give them images if it was related to the thing that you were trying to talk to them about, which is why, again, I get so disheartened sometimes when I see super, super vague images in that top banner. Unfortunately, it happens too often, and you're exactly right. The text that's included within it, the content, is the most important thing, because words are the common denominator. It's got to fit the dream, the client, fit the worldview of that dream client. Paul. So funny enough, Paul, you are one of the ones I've picked. So Paul says, good answer, thank you. Time to review my banner images. So so let's move on to that. I can see another couple of questions in there. Just keep them coming. I'm here. I'm going to be here for as long as you need me. And then yeah, we're gonna jump straight into that. So we're going to go to attendee site reviews in a minute after I just recap this. So 10 things your site must do. Again, it should fit the worldview of your dream client, follow design best practice, should leverage effective headlines, should tell a dream client why they're in the situation, should show them your passion and experience, explain the solution clearly, maximize value, point to a victory, have a clear call to action, and pass a user test. And again, I'm just going to recap. I'm just going to cap off here before we jump into the reviews, because I appreciate it might not be as valuable to the people whose sites aren't being critiqued. Just a reminder there about what it takes to make change in your business. It takes accountability, direction, and tunnel vision. And these are all the things that I stand for: that accountability, direction, motivation, and focus. And again, people that are inside of Freelance Lift Pro are already achieving that, They're already doing really well. And again, one of the things that we have also is the opportunity to have live one-to-one chats with me on this kind of thing. It's not what I'm looking at pitching at this point, but it's important really to just show you. Bear in mind that I'm not sharing my screen. That would have been better. So I was just sharing my screen then, sorry. So getting it done, that accountability, direction, tunnel vision. And again, accountability, direction, motivation, and focus is really what you need. Here are some people that are really doing well inside of Freelance Lift Pro. They are really getting value from it. They're finding it of value to their business simply because we've been able to create an environment with a small community of people that are doing it really well that supports all these three areas. And what happens? We get shit done. We make real change on a monthly basis. As I mentioned, just to recap again of the 5 areas that you need to focus on: narrow your pool of clients to increase the likelihood of making the sale, rework your website so that it enables you to generate some more leads, attract some attention and drive interest, make your client really desire it before your proposal, and then deliver a proposal which makes the sale a formality. Now, all 5 of these courses are available right now inside of Freelance Lift Pro. If you've been on the fence, hopefully I can help you out with that. Again, this is a couple of other people that are just really happy with what they've found inside of Freelance Lift Pro. In particular, Nick Zinger, who was able to shift his average order from about 2K up to about 8K. So as you can see, the investment, which was $229 a year, $229 per year, is so valuable to him. But if you're on this call, I just want to give you an offer really before we jump into the site critiques. Again, it's not my job here. My job is to give you as much value on these sessions as possible, but it would be remiss of me not to allow you at least to consider what it might look like to go that extra step, to get that accountability, to get that direction, to get that motivation. So if you head to freelancelift.com/life, you'll get straight into the checkout area there, which is giving you a $209 lifetime membership. Remember, it's $229 a year, which again is a great offer at less than $20 per month. But you're going to lock in a one-time for life membership there for just $209 if you make that call. I mean, again, it's no pressure at this point. And I suppose, again, just to reiterate, this is live. I'm not some faceless, distant guru guy whose job it is to sell you money. To sell you stuff. I'm still in the field. I still hustle. Granted, I'm not, a slave to money anymore, but I don't work 9 to 5 either. It's 8:10 on a Thursday evening. My wife is at home. I've got to justify my being here. So that is the reason why there is a charge for Freelance Lift Pro. That, and I want to build a smaller community, people that are going to really take it seriously. There's lots of so-so advice out there. What I'm trying to build is something that's a lot more actionable, that has that motivation, direction, tunnel vision, and that accountability from a group of your peers. So ask me any questions about Freelance Lift Pro in the Q&A here if you have them. Literally anything. I am here and I'll be here for as long as you need me. And what I'm going to do now is jump into some attendee reviews. So yeah, hopefully you are ready, guys. So let me jump into this. So Paul Dixon is the first one who rightly mentioned that he might be a little bit nervous about this. So let's have a look now here. All right, so you can probably by now figure out what I might say here. So first one is the section up here. Is it really supporting your message? If you were to, as this really is, load the page up without kind of going above the fold, as it were. You could be forgiven for thinking this was a, I don't know, Scottish Heritage Highlands website. You know, going back to the passing the user test, which is number 10 on the 10 things that your site must do. You've got to make sure you can put your message across clearly, and you do that within a sort of an environment where you're passing the user test. So does it fit the worldview of your dream client? So specialize in web and graphic design. I'm really sorry, Paul, but as I mentioned before, it's one of these things that your client will have seen lots and lots of sites like this before. Now, fortunately, you've got some perspective at least on this. This isn't the right type of terminology, I don't think. Now, here is where it gets interesting though, because as well as for a lot of projects I'm working on to improve your website and graphics, I was filled with joy and help you unwrap your story. Unwrap your story through design and unleash it onto the world. Now, with this kind of terminology, you're getting somewhere. We're talking about leveraging an effective headline here. So, maybe the landscape here, which is beautiful, would be more appropriate if it was introduced by this, a large headline which said, look, I help you unwrap your story through design and unleash it onto the world. Now, what you're probably missing a little bit is to say, well, who is this for? Who might buy it? Is there a sort of more specialist client that might want to take this? At this point, I don't know. It's the design is okay. I don't have too many problems with it. And again, one of the things I'm always keen to encourage is to not require that you need a huge rebuild. What I would probably do in this particular case, and again, this is my opinion, of course, but it's backed by building hundreds of sites for clients at Tone and for seeing sites that do convert within the Freelance Live Pro community. There are 100 people in the 100 club. So that's 100 people, 100 freelancers that are paying $75 per month to have live one-to-one coaching with me, to have more in-depth workshop sessions like this. All those guys are making real impact with their site. So again, where you got about me here, I don't think that's appropriate. I would probably, if you could lose this, have this start there, have your help unwrap story through design, unleash it onto the world there, and then you could kind of have an element of how you've helped people get to that point. We're talking again about telling the dream client why they're in this situation. So how is the person that's hitting this site going to have reached you, and what things maybe have they tried before? What things have they come a crop around? What things have they struggled with before? So yeah, good site. I don't think it's disastrous by any means. I just think you're in a good spot because you can, like I say, if you drop the headline there, made a more useful, more specific headline, more headline that didn't blend in as much, I think you're in a good spot. So let me know if you have any questions on there, Paul, and I'll move on to another couple while I'm doing this. So hopefully everybody is on these calls. It's hard to say, obviously, once you've kind of submitted the site, your site for review, you don't really know whether you're going to be featured. So you could be forgiven for not showing, but hopefully the people that are getting critiqued here are here. So I picked this one because what you have here is a great example of good design practice, believe it or not. You've got logos, great, neat, interesting. I think that's really cool. Fonts, good. Colors, good. Iconography, pretty good. Now, again, and I've not spent too much time on this, I wanted to keep it as free-flowing as possible. But when I looked at the copy here, again, I saw I'm a digital copywriter and content strategist. Now, I like that, but it's kind of like I'm kind of left in the position of, okay, I like that, but why? Why is that important to me? Why should I care about that? So again, the next line you've kind of got, I help businesses determine what they need to say online and then figure out the best way to say it. So, that could be translated into that headline. You're a copywriter, so there's good copy on this site, no doubt. I just suppose from an outsider looking in, maybe you could bring that, swap those around. You know, I help businesses like yours determine what they need to say online, and then figure out the best way to say it. So I like the strategy stuff. I like the ability for you to say, yeah, this is what I do, and you know, this is how I do it. And I think you got really good design practice on here. I like the site. You're doing some good work here to maximize the value of the visit. As I say, maximize the value of the visit, show an element of passion and experience. You know, the passion and experience bit is just you showing that there are other strings to your bow. You're not just a designer, writer, marketer, copywriter in your case. You also do things like this, speaking. There's an element of credibility there. So a really good one. I think just an element of strong call to action is needed on this site. So see my services, okay. Contact me, okay. Send, not okay. So clear call to actions is, you know, the kind of things that are required. I think I would have some sort of, you know, clearer call to action here. Tell me why I need to contact you. Tell me what's going to happen next. Give me something that's going to maximize the value of my visit. So again, hopefully that's been of interest there. So I'll jump straight to the next one. Again, if you're on the call, John, and again, you guys have only had a short amount of time, so hopefully you guys will made it. Next one is Zoe. I did see Zoe earlier, so I definitely know you're here. I suppose this is kind of like that moment in school where you get called out, you know. So hopefully it's not too. Well, my job isn't to embarrass anybody here, right? My job is to give you some constructive advice that you can build into your site. Quickly saw a couple of the questions here. So Callaway Green, just let me know what your name is, Callaway Green. It feels a little bit like I'm just speaking to nobody, you know. Do you need more sites to review? Yeah. I mean, I'll be here for another 20 minutes or so. So this applies to everybody on the call. Drop in your URLs here if you want me to have a look at them, and we'll do it live. You know, we'll do it here. As I mentioned, freelancelift.com/life gets you a lifetime membership to Freelance Lift Pro, which gives you access to all those 5 key areas that I mentioned: the figuring out who it is you're going to be targeting, narrowing down that pool of customers, repositioning your site so that it really works for them, how to go out there do marketing well, how do you go and pull in potential visitors, how do you attract attention, then what do you do to convert them, and what do you do prior to that proposal to build that desire in them before you send them that proposal. And then how do you price your project? How do you put that into a proposal that people will engage with? So $209 for one-time lifetime membership gives you access to all those 5 courses, plus every book that I've ever written in the short book section, plus all the videos that are on there right now, plus access to the community and lots of other stuff. So any questions on that, let me know. But there we go. So we're moving on to Zoe's site here. So I suppose if you're still on the call, Zoe, just give us a wave by just saying hi or something. But so here's an interesting one. So one of the things that I like about this one is I like the iconography used here. I think the colors are good. I like the fact that we're kind of highlighting stuff, but it seems to be a little bit random. But I kind of like this bit. The top bit again is very confusing to the eye. You know, I think it does make sense from a design point of view. If you were to give this to a user group to say, well, what does this person do? Then it would be pretty clear that it was a designer. Now the difference is it looks fairly similar to a lot of designer websites in that it's fairly content light. It focuses quite a lot on imagery. It doesn't leverage an effective headline, and it's so important. If you were to have a headline above that block, which gave people a reason, again, the lines you've got here are welcome to Zoe on Design, simple web designs from £150. Find out how I can help you in your next project. Now, again, find out how I can help you in your next project is not telling me something. Tell me what you want me to do, and then tell me what's going to happen afterwards. There's a great book by a guy called Steve Krug, who's an expert on user experience kind of design. The book is called Don't Make Me Think. And that's his whole philosophy on web design. If you make people think about what you want them to do next, so it's kind of like, right, should I find out more or should I see the portfolio? If you make them think about stuff, then you begin to lose them. So the title of that book, again, is Don't Make Me Think. It's by an author called Steve Krug. He's an expert copywriting designer, brilliant at what he does. And again, Don't Make Me Think is the title of that book, because that's a really key thing for you to do. So let's have a quick look back at the site again. Don't make people think. Give them a clear reason. Give them a clear call to action. Tell them what to do now, and tell them what you want them to do after that. After they've submitted that, and tell them what's going to happen. Okay, so again, a little bit of buzzword kind of stuff here, and again, I don't mind it too much, but bear in mind that, you know, the worldview that's going to be coming to this site, do they really know or care that you're an Adobe certified expert? And again, please don't take these words to heart. It's not intended to be insulting, but what you need to think about is, does this make the likelihood of somebody getting in contact with me higher or lower, or does it not make any difference? If it doesn't make any difference, then arguably it's not worth having. I like these. I think these are great. These give good trust indicators. So for me, these would be way up here. You know, they would be more prominent, because you're ultimately giving them something, giving them that trust, maximizing the value of their visit. Again, follow your design practice. I think it does. Does it tell them why they're in this situation? I like the highlighting thing, because I think you could do a lot with that. But I suppose the difficulty is it doesn't really highlight anything in particular. Find out more. Yeah. So again, this kind of stuff's good. You could maybe bring an element of this on the site, particularly the dog. But again, I think yeah, just making things a little bit more prominent. In terms of design best practice, it's good. As I say, just maybe bringing a little bit more content as to what people have maybe tried before and why you should be different. Imagery, again, make it relevant to what they're coming to the site for. All right, so next one, and indeed the final one of this session. I'll jump onto the Q&A one. So again, keep them coming if you need to. It's craft digital. Again, I do like this one. Stand out, get noticed, and be heard online. So what we're talking about there is an effective headline. Is it effective? So the question is that resonant? Does that resonate with the person that you want to be dealing with? That dream client, does that make sense to them? So stand out, get noticed, and be heard online. I would have an element of a subheading here. Obviously you could extend that, but give that a little bit of context, because I think stand out, get noticed, and be heard is dangerously close to buzzword territory, or dangerously close to, I suppose, cliche territory. So when we're talking about fitting the worldview of that dream client, you don't want to put them off. You don't want to say, well, I've seen this a million times before. So again, I think it follows design best practice well. I like this. I kind of like the imagery, but again, it goes back to what I was talking about before. Does it help or does it hinder? Does it make me think? Does it make me say, okay, well, why those kids there? Does this chap build websites for schools? And again, with combined strategy with design, we craft digital solutions. So if you were to, and apologies for doing this live, but if you were to craft digital solutions, you'll see quickly how many sort of other people are saying this kind of thing. And again, I promise I didn't queue this one up, but it goes to prove my point. You know, there are 12,900 pages in the Google Index that say those exact same words. We craft digital solutions. So unfortunately for me, that kind of slips into the realm of buzzwords. So I would try and be a little bit bolder, a little bit clearer, really. Again, how can we help? So that is a call to action, but not really clear enough. And again, it pops me back up here. So I think, again, perhaps just have a think about what you would like to do. Tell me what to do, and tell me what's going to happen next. recommended reading for you. So again, this is good. This is all saying, okay, well, I know what I'm talking about. I like the design here. I think this is kind of cool. I think you'll see with so like Justin Jackson, justinjackson.ca. His site's really neat like this, you know, and I think there is a trend to move towards stuff like this, which is super simple. But if you could put together a site like this, which told somebody why they're in this situation, which leveraged those effective headlines, you know, which showed them your passion and experience, which kind of said, well, look, these are the things I've done for other people, which kind of then explain that solution clearly, point to a victory, then I think you'd have a better result than lots of images. Unfortunately, you know, it's sometimes a little bit of a kicker to hear stuff like that, but it's always useful to hear it from a third party, especially a qualified third party. You know, I'm in a position where, thankfully, I'm able to build websites for businesses that are willing to pay around about, well, upwards of £30,000, region of $50,000. I'm in a fortunate position that I have clients that are able to justify that kind of spend, and they do that because they're working with people that understand it. We're a 11-person agency, the agency that I built from this sort of freelance ground up, as it were. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to talk from a position of authority on this one. So, all right, good. So that's the 4 that I picked that gave me some stuff to go on. So let's have a look here. So we got Callaway Green. The numbers are trickling off. So again, hopefully you're enjoying what you've seen. Just let me know that, you know, it's been useful for you, and let me know if there is anything that you want me to be a little bit clearer on. Hopefully by now the offer that I'm putting forward for Freelance Lift Pro makes sense. I know it will make sense to you. You know, I know what it takes to move from treading water into really progressing, really pushing your business forward. And at freelancelift.com/life, you'll get access to all the courses that are in there, along with 1 new course every month, indefinitely, with that lifetime. So it's well worth it for $209. And yeah, there's lots of people, as I showed within those testimonials there, that are really doing it well. If you want to check out what the general pricing is, just go to freelancelift.com/pro/pricing. Freelance Lift Pro pricing. But okay, so CallawayGreen.com. So let me just drop that in here. Show you my screen first. All right, so whoa. Results-driven digital marketing. Good. So, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I like these. I think I like them because they work, but I think they're kind of intrusive. But that I have really no opinion on these because, again, I talk to businesses and entrepreneurs that are in this space that are ultimately doing stuff like this, doing ebooks and videos and the things that you're watching right now. They all tell me that these work. I don't do them because I kind of feel surprised sometimes when I see them on the site. But hopefully it's doing well for you. Again, I'll update the Q&A there if it is performing well, because ultimately I think they do. But what you're at least showing is, look, I'm not just a digital marketer. I'm not just an SEO person. I'm somebody who speaks from a position of authority. So I've put together a book here, what it is, how to do it, and how it helps you increase sales. So content marketing, great. Find out why traditional SEO doesn't work. Again, great. You know, this is all good stuff. Results-driven digital marketing. Now, again, I think I do like that terminology. Now, again, I apologize for being so aggressive here in kind of putting this point forward, but I did spot it as being kind of more of a kind of buzzwordy sort of word. So, and again, you're never going to get a headline really that's unique to you. However, you know, there are lots of other people saying these exact same words. Now, I won't dwell on that too much because I think you're going down the right track, I suppose. Just bear in mind, you know, that what we talked about was don't blend in. You know, do not blend in, because from an SEO standpoint, particularly, there is lots of competition. You know, we do digital at the agency, tone.co.uk. We do digital there, and we know how competitive the space is. So as a result, it's important to stand out. Now, our slogan, and you're probably going to go to tone.co.uk now and try and tap in our slogan, but we specialize in building world-class web presences for market leaders. So let me just I'll do the test on myself again. I've not queued this up, but it'll just show you kind of what we're saying here. So we're saying world-class design and inbound marketing, delivering real lead into your business. So a bit of luck, we're the only person that's saying that again. So yeah, we're the only person that's saying this. I think I've not actually spotted this site before, but let me just see. These are without doubt probably copying us. Yeah, so it happens a lot. Anyway, yeah, so we're putting together a proposition now. We're putting together a message that only we can stand by. So yeah, just a kind of a side point there. And again, I don't want to use that as a kind of get out close. So let's have a look at what else we can look at on the site. So see how we can help you. Again, I would try, rather than having see how we can help you here, why not have sort of, I want more traffic, how do I get more leads? I want my site checked more prominently up here. I think, obviously the thing that you're going for here is to have, the full screen height here, but I would get people into these key sections more quickly. I would look to get them moving down the conversion path in a more quick way. Also, like here, you're showing passion, experience, you're maximizing the value of their visit. So again, get a quote page. Let's have a quick look at that. So again, what we're talking about quickly is kind of a clear call to action. So if you want more traffic, filling the world, we'll get back to you. So again, when we're talking about call to actions, we're talking about tell me what I need to do, and then tell me what's going to happen next. Those are the two things that you need to do. So you're kind of telling them what to do, and you're kind of telling them what to do next, but you're not doing it in such a way that it would really make people want to do it. What they see there is a similar size form. And again, I know that you're doing this, so forgive me. I do appreciate that you are doing this. I would probably have your email address on here somewhere. Give them the opportunity to email you directly. This is what we do. We get lots of emails to the Tone email address simply because we publish it. We're putting out content that allows people to download it, like ebooks and things like that. But we're also doing things that exposes our email address. So point to a victory then. Again, one of the things that I'm just thinking on this one is so again, just quickly looking at this, I like the fact that you're walking a potential client through the status quo. You're telling them what's happening in general. I would look to potentially use this as more of a headline. Get qualified prospects calling you rather than endlessly chasing after leads. I think that kind of terminology is definitely more interesting. Is something that they've perhaps not seen before. So hopefully that helps. If you've got any questions, just let me know. So let me take a look here. So for those interested in network, yeah, okay, yeah, no worries. Yeah, just again, if these guys are, everybody that's on this call is doing so because they care about the future of their businesses. So definitely look each other up. What we have within Freelance Lift is that community. There are 1,000 members within Freelance Lift. You've got about 200 inside of Freelance Lift Pro, but then 100 inside the 100 Club. So what you don't have here, again, from that position of I'm not here to sell you stuff. I do sell stuff, coincidentally, but only to justify the time that I'm spending on this. My overarching goal is to help you do better, make this a better year for you as a freelancer, to earn more this month than you did last month, to make freelancing more stable, to feel like you can plan a few months in advance rather than just weeks or even days. But let me see. And so just question from Jose here. What's the name of your book? So the book is Stop Thinking Like a Freelancer, The Evolution of a $1 Million Web Designer. And that chronicles my growth, really, my journey. So if you go to freelancelift.com, one of the options there is the book, which is the navigation item is $1 million freelance. No, $1 million freelancer. Go to that page. That gives you all the information about the book. Gives you the links to buy it on Amazon, which doing great on. But also gives you, for a limited time, a link across the top, a blue bar will appear, which will give you the option to buy that plus a bundle of other bits and bobs for $7. It's $8.99 on Amazon, $7 on the site. So hopefully you can check that out if you haven't done so already. All right, so I think we are, and yeah, so Callaway Green is Chris Green. So nice to meet you, Chris. All right, so thanks for that. Just a quick question here. For designers, should they have a portfolio-focused website? Yeah, and again, just bear with me slightly on this one. The job of you as a service provider in any sector is to solve a business problem. As I mentioned before, you're not being hired because you can design, write, market, code. You're being hired because the client has a business problem. Your service, so they think, is the solution to that, is the end goal. So when we're talking about that, we're talking about doing so from a position of mutually beneficial partnerships. So you do the work for the client, you get paid well, their client, they do well, and so it goes on. So what I'm getting to is your site should position you as that partner, as that mutually beneficial partner. So if that is helped by having lots of portfolio items, a portfolio focus, then great. For the most part, it will be 50-50, if not more content. Now, again, that's quite hard for people to hear maybe, but what I'm actually saying really is that you need leverage that effective headline, tell them why they're in this situation, tell them what solution looks like, why you're different, and point to that victory point. Those factors apply whether you're a designer, writer, marketer, translator, admin person, whatever your skill set, you are still trying to position yourself as the solution to the client's problem. That's what I'm getting at here. That's what you want to be working towards, you know. So whether you're a designer or not, it should support that. It should, the job of your website, the job of the design of your website is to make that slicker, make that process of a client realizing that you're the right person for the job quicker. Portray your proposition quickly and efficiently. So yes, for a designer, it's going to primarily be portfolio, but just bear in mind that for everything, you need to position yourself as a partner, a mutually beneficial partner. In the book, I talk about the difference between a partner and a laborer. And laborers are the kind of people that you get on Fiverr.com. They will do a job for X amount in reimbursement. A partner, on the other hand, is somebody that can really take involvement really in a client's business, and together they will grow. So to answer the question, the designer, should it be a portfolio focused site? Yes, but it should have that element of clear content in mind and partnership focus. So that's a good question. Yes, Zoe was here. Thank you. So Zoe, amazing. Thank you, and not at all insulted. Very much appreciated. No problem. Thanks. Thanks for putting yourself forward. It's not an easy one, and hopefully you got some good stuff to take away from it. Again, lots more of that kind of stuff on a regular basis at Freelance Lift Pro. Freelance Lift Pro again is that accountability, direction, and focus to really achieve some of these goals. So hopefully I can see you in there. Thank you. So this is Mukesh, which I believe your site is Craft Digital. Oh yeah, Craft Digital. Yeah. So thank you so much, Liam, for the feedback. Really appreciate your advice. Been following your work for a little while now. Good. Well, yeah. Feel free to reach out at any time, Liam at freelancelift.com. Again, if anything's puzzling you about Freelance Lift Pro or something that's potentially not making you push forward with it, let me know. And yeah, that hopefully the 209 for a lifetime membership really helps. But again, I appreciate that budgets are constrained sometimes. So just let me know if it's something that you really wanted to get into and really what's stopping you. I think that's the main thing for me at this point. If there's anything stopping you at this moment from pushing that button, then let me know, and I'll see if I can help with that. Okay, Callaway Green, which is Chris, really good feedback. Thanks. No problem. No problem at all. And let's see. Yeah. So again, a few people where it stopped. Hopefully, it just kind of came back on. I really don't know what happened there. I'm glad that it restarted. To be honest, cut off. Let's see if there's anything else. All right, so that's about it. So all that remains is for me to say thanks for joining me on this call. It went on a little bit longer than I anticipated. I didn't really expect the blackout, but there you go. Hopefully you got a lot from it. Remember, Freelance Lift and Freelance Lift Pro in particular is about giving you that accountability, motivation, direction, and focus to really make fundamental changes. We're not talking about the font size you should use in your proposal. We're not talking about the best way to organize your workstation to get more out of productivity or whatever. We're talking about the big differences, starting with those 5 areas, and you can jump straight into those 5 areas immediately. So again, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll speak to you soon. If you don't want to jump into Freelance Lift Pro right now, then certainly grab yourself a free account. You can just jump in at freelancelift.com/start, and I'll speak to you from there. So again, thanks for joining. My name's Liam, and I'll see you again.